So you've mentioned that you like running in trails in the nature,
Yeah.
right? So what was your first experience on really that first experience that really got you in touch? Because you mentioned that after some time you don't want to run on the roads. You wanted
Yeah.
to go back
Yeah.
to the running in the nature.
Yeah. So you're asking me that?
Yes.
What's my first experience? Or
Yes. Yes.
so as I said, when I went to university, we're right next door to this wonderful forest, and we used to go every night and go for a run. And funny enough, we'd run for 5, 6 Ks, but then being young and stupid, we started pushing it, pushing it, pushing it, and then eventually we did a 20K run, and that's kind of what said, okay, if we can do 20Ks, we can go run the marathon,
Right.
and that's where we landed up. But yeah, but now, I mean, there's nothing more wonderful than going into the forest and there's a thunderstorm when it's raining. It's been raining for weeks, and you've got to walk through waterfalls, and that's my vibe now. Not pushing myself, just actually loving it, and talking nonsense to my friends while we're doing it, and pulling each other's legs. So that's kind of where I am now in my running.
Ah, that's interesting because when you look at Kenyan running, it's more of running on the road.
Yeah,
And like you've seen in
yeah,
the roads here, the
yeah,
Kenyans run on that road,
yeah,
but when they get to compete, they compete in
yeah,
Europe,
yeah,
US,
yeah,
and it's more on the tarmac.
yeah,
But just because of the altitude, that gives them an edge because now they're able to run on a lower altitude and they've been training on altitude.
yeah.
So it gives them an advantage whereby they get to run faster, world records, course records. So tell us about now you came from South Africa, the altitude there and here, it's in. How do you compare that?
So I come from the coast, um,
Sea level.
so sea level, yeah. So it's quite a big adaptation to come here, and at the lodge where I stayed before, there's this little yawl that you have to, as you come out the gate, there's this yawl, and I've not, even the fittest runners that I've walked up that yawl with, they're all out of breath by the time they get to the top. Even some of them have been here for weeks. They still struggle.
Right.
And even now, funny enough, I'm still struggling. And it's now been 2 months, and I'm still not acclimatized. In fact, I was discussing it yesterday. That I'm quite surprised that I'm still struggling to breathe. It's not coming naturally yet.
Also, I would say that because maybe you age a bit, but usually
That's what my wife said.
yeah. But usually most people who come here to attend after like 3 4 days, they're able to breathe
Yeah,
normally.
yeah,
After 1 week,
yeah,
2 weeks,
yeah,
they're ready to go.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
when they get the
yeah.
best benefit when they go back
Yeah,
to sea level.
yeah, yeah. So I'm running a race. We're going back tomorrow,
Uh-huh.
and I'm running a race on Sunday. I'm doing a very short one. It's a 10K, but I'm going to be interested to see how I feel after 2 months over here, and lots of fresh air and lots of extra oxygen.
Right.
So I'll be interested to see
To see how you do.
how I do. Yeah.
Yeah. You mentioned to me that you've had an experience to do some trail running here in Iten. Tell us about that.
So I hosted earlier when I arrived here 2 months ago. I hosted a trail running camp,
Yes.
and but it didn't seem to be any different to the road running camp. So it was all the same experiences, and so I thought I'd like to do something different when I do it again. So I want to come back again in a year's time, and I've actually got the dates really starting on the 24th of March next year. So the idea is that people come for the camp for the 2 weeks again, and they have all those Kenyan experiences in the first week. So learn about the Kenyan way, how to train at altitude, meet some elite runners, go and have a look at the fartlek and the track sessions, and have that full experience. But keep that to the first week.
Yes.
And then in the second week, my idea is to have, I'm not going to call it a race this time, I want to just have a running adventure almost. Maybe in the next year, if it's the year after, if it's successful, then we can turn it into a race. But now I want it just to be a bit more low key. So I've gone around, there's hardly any paths in Iten that I haven't run on now in the last 2 months. I've explored a lot. In fact, I can teach people from Iten where to go.
All right.
And I've worked out 5 different routes in different areas of Iten, and I've included 2 of the runs will go up to major waterfalls. I dragged you around the other day. You almost died. You said you were
Yeah.
5 minutes away from death.
That's too much.
But you're here today to do this interview.
Right.
So yeah, so it'll be 20 k's a day and absolutely fantastic. The views, the waterfalls, the people. I mean, we'll be going through people's little villages, and yeah, it'll be magnificent.
So one of the biggest difference is when many foreigners come here to Iten, they normally run on the road just like the Kenyans. But what Jeremy is doing is really interesting because now even he took me to places that I didn't even know. He teach me how to walk around rocks and trail. So it's nice because now this is along the escarpment, right? The Great Rift Valley.
Yeah.
As most people don't really see that part
Yeah.
and really experience it. So
Yeah.
I think that will be really an amazing experience for trail runners.
Yeah, because we also, when we went and did the recce, we discovered there was a big river that you couldn't go through.
Yes.
And then yesterday you came up with this good idea. We're going to go build a bridge. So I'm looking forward to bridge building in Iten. Yeah, literally and figuratively.
Absolutely. So one thing I want to ask also is tell us about the best things about Iten. Maybe top 3 best experiences that people around the world, trail runners, don't really
So
have to understand.
So funny enough, I don't know. It was very inspiring and was the visit to your sister's house. It was done in such a low-key way, but both your sisters have such an amazing sense of humor. I don't know what happened to you, why you didn't get it. No.
A little bit maybe. They took that away from me.
But it was such a fun morning meeting your sisters and discussing where you guys all came from and how your, well, I was going to say hardships, but it wasn't a hardship. It was just a different way to the way I was brought up. So it's not a hardship. In fact, it was a wonderful way you guys were brought up, and you appreciate life much more than us because of your upbringing. So yeah, so that was like really fun for me that morning. I really enjoyed that. Enjoyed visiting some of the elite runners. In fact, one of them, it was the week before he was going to our Two Oceans Marathon. It was great to know he was going. And then also a highlight for me was going to the St. Patrick's School. I kind of could sense what has happened there and where people have come from nowhere and become world-class athletes. It really hit me somewhere in the heart. I really enjoyed going there. And then just running and even walking there with my wife, the people are so friendly. We've learned to say habari and they reply Missouri and off we go and everyone smiles and happy and we've been welcomed by everyone. So the people here are special as well. And then funny enough, I told you I'm still a passionate soccer supporter.
Yes.
And then just going to the local, it's not a movie house, but it's like a sports viewing center, and going there and enjoying the matches with the guys there. Yeah, so that's also been special for me as well.
Yeah. How would you compare the Kenyans and South Africans? I mean, we're all Africans, but what are the biggest similarities or differences? Because when people look at you, they think you're from Europe, but I'm like, no, he's from Africa. So
So I'm not going to use the M word that I get called all the time.
Okay.
No, I don't really want to answer that question because it's kind of getting more political.
In terms of lifestyle and way of, as Kenyans,
Yeah.
you've said that we're
Yeah,
very
yeah.
approachable,
Yeah.
very low key.
I think it's the big difference here. So it's not Kenyans. It's the guys up here. They're all very disciplined and they're running and they want and they've got a goal to be world champions, and so it makes a difference. So I think the big thing is that the poorer people in South Africa are suffering. They don't have a goal in their life. They just every day is a struggle. Whereas here, if you're poor, it's also a struggle, but at least you've got something to get up in the morning for. You know that you're going to go out and train, and that maybe one day you'll become a world famous
Yes.
marathon runner and you're going to win Boston. So everyone seems to have that hope. Even the ones that don't have a chance even, they still seem to have that hope.
Yeah.
And that's a big difference to a person's well-being, is that there's hope. So there's definitely, it's hope that is the difference here. Yeah.
So there was a book written by someone, I forgot his name, but he mentioned that, since Kenyans are very good in distance running, he thinks that Kenyans would do great in ultra running and trail running because they have this endurance, given the lifestyle they grew up in and the things they've done. What's your view on that? Do you think Kenyans can be trained now to transition into ultra running, trail running, running longer than 42 kilometers and be able to do well?
I actually don't know. So, like in South Africa, the winners of our long races, like the Comrades and the Two Oceans, I don't think Kenyans have featured. It's been more like Namibians and Zimbabweans and then South Africans that have done well. So I'm not sure if Kenyans have done well, but I don't see there being an issue that they can't.
Right.
And also, when it comes to trail running, there isn't a smooth road
Right.
in Iten or wherever they train up here. And you were saying that they got the advantage of going down to sea level when they've been training up here, but they've also got the advantage of running on a smooth road after having trained on these rough roads.
Right.
There isn't, except for the 1 or 3 roads that come into town that are tarred, the rest are all rough, and the more drains, the rougher it gets. Yeah. So I think it's potentially they can. In fact, there is a group here that have done of trail runners that have done quite well in Europe. They've won a couple of races.
Yeah, there's been few Kenyans who've done some. So
Yeah.
I think maybe the exposure and
Yeah.
people who have done it and be able to be successful at it
Yeah.
can be able to tell the story, and the others can.
Yeah.
Because when you look at the history of Kenyan running, it's because of the founders who did so well that the other guys got inspired and say this can be a real career.
Yeah.
So maybe through this kind of exposure, people can really get to learn a little bit about it
Yeah.
and then get to try.
But I think also with trail running, there isn't such big prize money yet. So there's nothing like the Boston Marathon prize money in trail running. So I think I'd rather, if I was a Kenyan here, I'd rather go run a second-rate marathon than go and run, and I'd win more money by running that second-rate marathon than going to run a top trail race.
Right.
So there isn't that prize money yet available, and there isn't the TV coverage available yet. So,
Yeah.
so it's still a while before prize money will catch up to road running.
Yeah, we'll see how things go.
Yeah.
So yeah, Jeremy, I thank you for your time.
It's a pleasure. Yeah.
Yeah, so just a few words for those guys who are interested in, trail running in Iten next year.
Yeah.
What did you tell them?
No, well, I'm promising you an amazing experience. Every time we even go walking here, we're just amazed by the beauty around here, and the paths are special, and the people are special, and we'll give you a wonderful experience. So please come.
Alright, thank you guys for watching with us, and hope to see you soon.
Okay.
All the best.
Thank you.
Bye.
Cheers.
Bye.